Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan and I'll be your pilot today. Boys and girls, we are almost underway for the free agent tampering period that begins at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Very excited to get into it, but we are talking a little bit trade drama llama news. That's right, we are talking T. Higgins potentially getting moved. He has requested a trade officially from the Cincinnati Bengals. This coming by way of Adam Schefter. Bengals franchise wide receiver T. Higgins has requested a trade per sources. Higgins loves Cincinnati and hoped to be with the team long term, but is disappointed that the team has not had any talks about long-term contract extensions since March of 2023. He's ready to move on to a new home. This is not surprising for me. When I saw that T. Higgins was going to become a free agent this past offseason, the whole thought process for me was they should absolutely hit him with the franchise tag and go for one more run for a Super Bowl. So if I'm the Bengals, unless you're getting something that's like really, really nice in return for T. Higgins, I don't see the reason why you'd want to move him. And with the Jets sitting without a second-round pick, are they really going to want a 2025 second-round pick or a 2025 first-round pick? Is that something that they would be looking to do? I don't think so. I think the Jets are going to have whatever team it is going to have to give up at least a second this year. And then if not, maybe a late first round pick, which the Jets don't have in either year unless it's a late 2025 first. But again, why would a team that wants to go all in for a Super Bowl now that would be moving T. Higgins want to move him for a future pick as opposed to one this year that could help them this season for their Super Bowl run? So I don't get the feeling the Jets are realistically going to be a landing spot for T. Higgins. They have only the first round pick, number 10 overall this year. They have the 72nd overall pick in the third round. So not really a lot of firepower when it comes to different areas to go. Now, I do think a team at the back end of the first round could absolutely offer up a first round pick. Now, I don't see that being a team like the Chiefs because I don't think the Bengals would want to send him to the Chiefs because they're directly competing with one another in the AFC. And I guess you could say to a lesser extent, maybe the Jets are on that sort of wavelength as well. But I would think the Bengals Chiefs maybe view themselves as a little bit more in line than our Jets. So I don't see this as a potential realistic landing spot for the New York Jets or for T. Higgins. Now, I do want to mention that Breece Hall has come out and put out a little tweet saying, Sauce and Garrett, about time we light another bonfire. This is going back to their cheesehead burning days that got Aaron Rodgers here to New York. So I think you can argue that maybe our star players want this dude in the worst way. T. Higgins was a player that Sauce Gardner chimed in about early on. It was Calvin Ridley, T. Higgins, like, oh, we'd love to see one of these guys on the team. And I really like T. Higgins. I'm all on board for T. Higgins as a free agent. Now, if you trade for him, not only are you giving up a bunch of draft compensation, but you're at least taking on a $21.8 million cap hit. Now, you'd extend him on a 5-year contract, realistically, or 4-year contract, but you're probably talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $75 to $100 million contract for someone like T. Higgins, depending on the years and whatnot. But you're talking probably $18 to $20 million a year. Now, I would prefer T. Higgins over someone like a Calvin Ridley, but again, you have to give up the draft compensation too, which I don't think the Jets are really in a position to do. And then on the other side of things, there's going to be some other, free agent options that I think may not be as good as a T. Higgins, but I think you can argue that whatever you get in free agency plus whatever you gave up in the trade is a net positive over top of whatever T. Higgins would have maybe provided. I don't see the Jets really being in on this. This isn't going to be like a Jerry Jeudy type trade where Jerry Jeudy went for a 4th and a 5th round pick, I think is what it was, from Denver to the Browns. T. Higgins is a far better player, and he's going to command at least a 2nd round pick, which the Jets don't currently have. If they're willing to take a 3rd round pick for T. Higgins, hey, green light, I'm all about it. But I don't see the Bengals doing that. I would be pretty surprised. Boba Jet comes in with a $5 super chat. Thanks so much, dude. He says, 2024 3rd round pick and a 2025 2nd round pick. Gets it done now. Call it in, Ryan. Jets country. Let's fly. So if this was the trade package, a 3rd this year and a 2nd next year, I would do that. I think that is an all right move to make. I think they're going to want, I would rather hold on to T. Higgins for the year and let him leave after the season for a future 3rd round pick if I were the Bengals than accept a 3rd round pick this year. So as much as I would do this, I think, Boba Jet, I don't think the Bengals will. I think that would be a little surprising if I saw that happen from their point of view. I do have a poll question in the chat if you guys want to vote on that. Should the Jets make a trade for T. Higgins? You guys can let me know in the comment section. I do want to see that in there. Let's see. We've got, let's go through some comments real quick. JJ says, it's not happening. Nice, short, sweet, to the point. Tony the GM says, 2026 has a record dead cap of $55 million with only one single restructurable contract. Tony GM, that is 2 seasons away, 3 seasons away. 2024, 2025, and then 2026. So I'm not worried about whatever that cap hit is at this particular point in time. Not about it. But I do think it's probably a little far-fetched potentially to see this really get done. So I don't know. Let's recap this for those of you that are just hopping into the stream. Boys and girls, hit that like button on the way in. T. Higgins has requested a trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. He has done this because he has not had any long-term contract talks since March of 2023. Now, him going into the final year of his season, them hitting him with the franchise tag, just makes sense. This is what they were going to do, trying to go all in for a Super Bowl. I think you're going to have to convince the Bengals to trade him as opposed to them just trading him because he's a disgruntled, player that wants a big-time contract. I don't think the Bengals are going to be in on this. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm totally wrong on this. Now, as far as other free agency news right this second that we're kind of going on, acquired and kept and free agents lost, it seems like Bryce Huff, is going to be meeting with the Eagles. That's the rumor that's been out in the mill so far, that there's nothing confirmed by that. But as far as the Jets have kept and retained, the Jets have Chuck Clark brought back on seemingly a similar deal to last year. I think he was on a $4.1 million contract last year. Isaiah Oliver, special teams gunner, plus a slot cornerback from the 49ers. This is a Jeff Ulbrich connection from Atlanta, actually, not from the 49ers and Salah. He was only on the 49ers for 1 season. Kenny Yeboah comes back. I thought that was a restricted free agent signing. I don't know if they tagged him with that or if it was actually like a contract. And then Greg Zuerlein, before hopping on to make this video, the Jets did re-sign Greg Zuerlein to a 2-year, $8.4 million contract, so he's getting $4.2 million a year. This guy is a weapon. As Rodgers said, Greg Zuerlein is a weapon when it comes to the Jets special teams unit, and I love this. This is someone that I wanted to retain. Morstead, hopefully coming down the pipeline later today. I very much want to see this. But interesting stuff going on around the Jets sphere, for sure. Let's see. We've got Ja Menace saying, we don't need him. He's not a true 1. We don't need a 1A anyway, but he'll want to be paid as a number 1 regardless. Yeah, so that's the argument, right? Like, if the Jets don't need a second number 1 wide receiver, why would they go out and spend all this crazy money on a $20+ million receiver? I am kind of falling in that same camp. Now, I would have done it for Mike Evans because I think he is a different level of wide receiver at this stage of his career, and he's just been so consistent and healthy and everything over the course of his career. But I would argue that Courtland Sutton, who is a probably lesser player that you would deem than T. Higgins, will cost $10 million less per year. So I'm still on the Courtland Sutton trade more than anything else. Let's see. We'll pull back up the T. Higgins graphic here, since that's what the whole show's talking about. Shane comes in, says, can't overpay draft compensation and an extension for Higgins. Need to get better value from at least one of those. I completely agree, Shane. Completely agree. That's where the Jets need to be focused right now. Minion Troller says, no, it's a bad idea. I would have only gotten Evans. He fits the profile. We're going to fail like always. Same old Jets overpaying for overrated players who is behind Jamar Chase. So I don't think T. Higgins is overrated. Maybe overrated in the sense that like there's not a lot open in the free agent market, and he's deemed as this like untouchable kind of skill level compared to other players right now. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I like his size profile. I think it is similar to Mike Evans, but I think Mike Evans is the better player for sure. Cole comes in. Cole says, it's extremely unlikely to happen, but there's nothing wrong with the Jets throwing an offer out there. If it doesn't hit, cool. We can draft one or trade for a different wide receiver or wide receiver number 2. Remember, the Jets were in on Jerry Jeudy, so it is interesting. Brian says both 3s. We don't have any 3s. We only have 1 3. I shouldn't say we don't have any 3s. We have 1 3 this year. I guess you wanted to give up a 3 next year, but I don't see that as happening. Mez says, it's cute that you think the Jets are on the same level as the Chiefs and Bengals. I don't, but we did win 7 games with like the worst quarterback performance in the history of the league last year. So if the Jets get average quarterback play from Aaron Rodgers, let alone top 10 quarterback play, I think you guys are in a world of hurt. I mean, heck, our owner said our backup quarterback was not actually a backup quarterback, meaning he was a 3rd string, and he took you to the fucking ropes, my friend. The Super Bowl champion Chiefs taken to the ropes by Zach Wilson. I would imagine Aaron Rodgers probably going to have a little bit more success than Zach Wilson. Frank says, Ryan, give it up. The Jets are run like shit. Another down year. Man, you are Debbie Downer, my friend. Not real happy on this. Rube says, Douglas has to jump on this. I don't think it's going to make any sense. I think from the amount of cap space and trade assets we're going to have to give up, I don't think the Jets are in a position to fix the offensive line and give out this kind of contract. It just feels like a lot to give up. Mitt Flair says, woo, I say we do it. We need T. Higgins. Zachary Burner says, look up his injury history. Yeah, he's had nagging injuries the last few years. So another reason why I liked Mike Evans so much more than T. Higgins. As a free agent, wouldn't bother. Wouldn't be a problem. As a traded player, though, I don't particularly love that. Let's see. Zachary asking, did the Chargers release a wide receiver yet? No, I don't believe so. I haven't seen anything from them on their side. Let's see. Pure Adrenaline. T. Higgins is not overrated. Christopher saying, how funny would it have been if we traded for Mac Jones to be our backup quarterback? I hate Mac Jones. There's like not many players that I despise in this league, but Mac Jones is one of them. Screw Mac Jones. He's a dirty player. I don't want him at all. Glad he's gone. Outlaw says, T. Higgins and Garrett Wilson together would be a dynamic duo. Fire emojis. I agree. I just don't think it's realistic given everything that is currently going on right now. JT says, yes, we need to make a push for T. Higgins. He's a big body wide receiver. I want with Sutton being a secondary want if we can get T. Higgins. So from a skill perspective, you probably like T. Higgins over Courtland Sutton anyway. But from a contractual standpoint, I do like what he provides us for sure. Let's see. The Jets are interested. Hot news, Matthias. I haven't seen that yet. I'm sure it's true. I would think it's true. Worst offensive line performance, not going to lie. Yeah, look, our offensive line has been booty cheeks. Has not been good right now. He root. I'm not getting all hyped up. Higgins will remain in Cincinnati. Yes, I agree. I think he is probably more than likely going to stay in Cincinnati because why would Cincinnati give him up for anything less than like a first-round pick? I think a late first is really the best shot they got. Maybe A-Rod can make a phone call and do some convincing. I don't think so. I don't think A-Rod's calling the Cincinnati Bengals and saying, hey, take less for your star wide receiver. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Mike E says, I wish, but it would not allow us to fill our holes we desperately need. I think it would hurt us for sure from a leverage standpoint on everything else. Dave from New Brunswick says, can you explain why the Jets didn't want to do something similar with Huff? Why was the tag and trade so complicated? Because the Bengals have a lot of cap space. They want to hold on to T. Higgins for this year anyway. The Jets drafted drafted Bryce Huff's replacement last year. They don't have the cap space to eat $20 million. And to facilitate a trade means you have to hold on to that contract on your salary cap until he's traded. And if the Jets are trying to make moves early in free agency like this, Huff would impede them from doing that. Now, I don't like this. I'm irritated that the Jets are going to allow Bryce Huff to just walk. But that is ultimately why why that's going down the way it is. Rube says, is there a projected contract for Higgins? I've always seen the spot track theorized kind of contract for Higgins as far as Mike Williams comparison. I think his was 3 years, $75 million. Was it? Or no, that's wrong. 3 years. What was it? I think he was getting $18 million a year. So whatever that math works out to be, I think was what it was. But I think he'll get higher than that. I think he's going to get closer to like, I don't know, 80 million, 20 million a year, probably 4 years, 80 million, maybe 5 years, 100 plus. Ryan Remington, 12% drop rate and 30% 50-50 ball. No thanks. I'd rather trade for Deontay Johnson. I'd have to look at Deontay Johnson's contract. I'd imagine it's definitely better than whatever Higgins is going to get. 12% is still like, I think Lazard was like 18, which is insane. Not great. T. Higgins says, given the financials, Sutton would be the better move for the team. Didn't take that into account. Yeah, the financials is really the big piece of this. Zach Wilson for T. Higgins. LOL. Now put me in the shadow realm. Oh man, I don't have my button right here. I don't know if I can do it right now. Do I have my chicken?
That's it. You're out of here.
Oh, love that. Love that. Sorry, switching all over the place here. All right. Dave from New Brunswick. Would T. Higgins' contract interfere? Oh, see, now I'm throwing a timer up on the screen. This is what happens when I'm screwing around hitting buttons that I don't need to hit right now. It's all right. Would a contract extension interfere with Sauce Garrett-Jermaine extensions? Yeah, it probably would, given his age. I think he's going to want a longer extension. Now, you probably restructure it in such a way. Garrett's big money probably won't hit until, I think, 2026 or 2027. It would be you would have the big money. He would get big money on his signing bonus, but his actual cap hits wouldn't be enormous until year 5. So you're probably talking 2026 would be when his big cap hits start to hit. Zachary Berner says, I think someone with a second-round pick, which our Jets don't have, is going to get Higgins. I would completely agree if the Bengals want to trade him for a second-round pick, which I don't think they would. I would rather let him walk at the end of the season for a comp third-round pick in 2 years from now than trade him for a second-round pick this year. I don't know. See what they wind up doing. Freedom House says, trade for Higgins, and we can really focus on the offensive line. Yeah, but that's a lot of money to give up, too. It's a lot of money to give up. Steve says, remember, there's other teams that can give up more or better than what the Jets can give. I completely agree. I think that's why the Jets ultimately will not get him. Papa, how many targets did Lazard even have to drop 18% is obscene. It's not 18% of all passes. It's only 18% of what he was thrown. So if he was thrown 10 passes, or he was thrown 100 passes, he dropped 18 of them. And I think he was probably only thrown at 30 times throughout the season. I don't know if that's actually accurate, but his volume is way lower than that of a T. Higgins. So Higgins may actually have more drops at 12% because he had more targets, possibly. I'm rattling this off the top of my head, but that's sort of where that metric kind of comes in. Steve, Ryan, would you take Brandon Ayuk or T. Higgins? I would take Ayuk, 100%. I really like Ayuk a lot. I would give up the 2025 first for him in a heartbeat. Maybe the 49ers would consider it because they have so much draft capital this year. I would also consider dropping from the 10th pick down to 31 to get an Ayuk in this year's draft. That was something that you could do. If I had to give a big contract to one of these two receivers, I do like Ayuk a little bit more than T. Higgins. Bearsy Boy says, Ryan, what's your genuine opinion on Zach? I still have faith he'll become a proficient quarterback in this league. I would say I don't have faith that he will become that. Where I stand on Zach is what's best for the team. If the relationship is truly burnt between the owner, between the coach, between the GM, between Zach and his team and everything like that, and the our team, if that's true, Zach can't be on the team. If it's got to be a cut, it sucks because the Jets eat that $11 million cap hit anyway. As far as a trade goes, I don't know if the Jets are going to be able to get a team to take a trade of Zach Wilson and eat his salary cap, which would be about $5.4 million, I believe. If the Jets eat the roster bonus, then it's a 1-year, $1 million contract, which I think is a lot more an easier pill to swallow for other teams. And I think that's ultimately, if there is a trade, what's going to happen. But to me, if I'm seeing what Mac Jones just went for, a 6th-round pick, and the Jets are going to have to go out and sign a backup quarterback anyway, I really wish they could figure it all out because I do like Zach as a potential backup option with Aaron Rodgers. It just sucks because like you don't want to have to rely on him, because if you have to rely on him again like you did the last 2 years, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I cannot have that. But I do think he could, with the right coaching, maybe something could come of it. I don't know. I think his time in New York is likely done. Zachary says, what if the Bears and Bengals do a pick swap and Higgins in the deal? Pick swap meaning like number 9, because they're not going up to number 1. So 9 to 18. That would be cool. That'd be a good move for the Bears. Andrew says, I just can't wait for things to actually start happening. We're so close to real moves. Yeah, just 45 minutes from now is when the legal tampering period actually starts. We can talk a little bit more about it. So very, very excited to see where this all comes from. Isaac, what's up, dude? Says, Ryan, any predictions on moves we make today? I'm hoping for Mike Onwenu. I don't know. I think the report from Connor Hughes was that the Jets are going to make moves that are similar to what they've done in the past. And I feel like that was put out by the team to Connor to kind of get the fan base prepared for a disappointing or seemingly disappointing free agency, or like a lackluster free agency. Like, we're not going for the top of the line guys. We're going for something a little bit lower down. And I think that's probably true. Connor also mentioned the Jets are probably going to be active on the interior offensive line market, which I do think makes more sense because of the cost per player on the return on investment too. I think the amount you would get back in terms of quality play on an interior offensive lineman like a guard or a center is better than that of a tackle, which could lead you to believe AVT is going to go out and play tackle at some point, and the Jets may take their tackle at 10, and those are your 2 bookend tackles. Or they get 1 tackle, AVT is the other tackle, but it seems like they're going to go interior offensive line from what we're just sort of seeing. Noah says, happy Monday, Ryan. Do you think T. Higgins wants to go to a team to be another number 2 wide receiver? He's probably looking for a payday and to be a number 1 wide receiver. Thoughts? I completely agree. I think he's absolutely looking to be a number 1 wide receiver, and I think he's absolutely looking for a massive payday, which is why I don't think the Jets are going to be the team that ultimately lands him. It would have been different if we had him signed as a free agent, because then you can structure the contract in such a way that it's not super crazy, and if he wants to win a Super Bowl, might not be the worst decision, but he's going to have a lot of suitors. So I'm curious to see where he ultimately ends up. Zachary says, is Miami screwed with Wilkins leaving? What are your thoughts? I think it sounds like he might be able to come back. I saw something from Doug Lee Do Wrong that like there's a chance he might come back. I would think if you did not sign him prior to free agency, though, he might be walking. I don't know. Maybe it'll be easier to run on him next year. Steve says, oh, and I do want to say this. Spencer Rattler is the best quarterback in this draft class. That's a bold statement. Now, if he's there in the 4th round and the Jets want to make a pick on it, I'm okay with that. I think 4th round is as early as I'd like to go on a backup quarterback right now. I don't want to go too crazy high. JT comes in and says, Devil's Advocate, that report was put out to get us extremely excited when we are going off with moves. You're probably right, though. For some reason, I feel it'll seem conservative. I think we are going to be conservative in free agency. I don't think we're going to go out and blow the purse the way we thought we were going to, especially with all these guys returning back to their teams. There's not a crazy ton of highly talented guys out there that I would want to overpay for, because that's what you're going to have to do in free agency. AR says, I hate how we pretend the Jets will make a move. They will wait till everyone worth a shit is signed, then claim there was no one left. I think they're just going to say they're trying to, be fiscally responsible, I think is what the term is ultimately going to end up being. Duncan says, I will take an average offensive lineman who can stay healthy versus a name guy who is out there only 10 to 12 games per year and overpay too. I do want an offensive lineman over overpaying for T. Higgins or trading the draft compensation for T. Higgins. Now, if he was a free agent and you want to overpay him, that's fine. I wouldn't have cared. But as a trade, I think it makes it a little more difficult. All right, boys and girls. I think we are in good shape heading into this free agent period. Now, I believe it's 40 minutes from now. 40 minutes from now is when the Jets will actually be able to start making some moves in the legal tampering period. I'll have stuff ready. I'm off today, so I'll try to give you as much content as I can provide in the little bits and pieces, so keep your notifications on if you're not tuned in. And we'll talk about all the stuff that happens throughout the day. And then tonight, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, myself and Dom C are joined by Devin Jackson from the Philadelphia Inquirer about NFL draft stuff for Talking Jets draft over on the Talking Jets channel. And then from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, Free Agency Frenzy, I get to answer all your questions, comments, things of that nature, recap everything that's gone on throughout the day. This is exciting. Looking forward to it, boys and girls. This is Jets Talk, signing off. JETS.
One, two, three.